Today's AskReddit post. People who live in communities where corona isn't taken seriously, what has it been like? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. Pretty normal, except with like obstacles added in. For example, stores have implemented all sorts of things, like one-way aisles. However, since like 2% of people care, nobody pays attention and somehow everyone ends up closer than they would have if the aisles would have just been normal. A lot of people don't wear masks, but on occasion you'll see someone in a mask, gloves, with their phone and other belongings in a Ziploc bag to keep them from being contaminated. Oddly enough, those are typically the people that get avoided like the plague. People in my town don't care that much, but ever since one kid got it they've been taking it more seriously. But then the bomb threat made people go to the park more, on the basis that they couldn't go yesterday, so I'm going to go today when they never had plans to go anyway. I am from Italy and struggle with anxiety. When the lockdown started I was low-key happy because I thought I can go to the park and nobody is gonna be there, yay. Full of people. It's insane how you tell people to not do something for themselves and they will do the opposite. As things have soothed, the park has way less people. Probably because they got back to work, but still weird and boring. Edit. I was going to the park for my dog. I did not go to the park in the end. I feel sick when there is too much people. I mean, technically they all had the same idea you did, LMAO. Same thing when people complain about being stuck in traffic. You are the traffic, LMAO. LOL, that's hilarious. I can't believe there's so many cars on the road right now. Well, a younger guy at work said he was at a packed bar over the weekend and we are ending our alternating schedule on Monday. My husband's work ended their alternating schedule 3 weeks ago. Last week 3 people tested positive for it. Now they are going to full WFH. Husband just got tested today. Fingers crossed he's okay. Why would they even have an alternating schedule? If there's a pandemic and your workforce can feasibly done from home, they should have never taken that risk. My city hasn't been doing great, but the day of the first case nearly every HQ in the downtown area sent everyone home and we haven't been back since. I answer phones and emails. We worked from home for about 2 months. But now that the US has 10x as many cases, it's time for us to start working from the office again. It's cool though. People have to wear masks when away from their desks, so we're totally fine. Send help. Yeah, I don't understand the rush to go back if it's something you don't need to be in a certain location for. A lot of people in my circle seem to think wearing a mask is complete and utter submission to the government. Trying to explain the difference between the willing adoption of rules versus government control can be a bit of a chore. They typically respect my view though. In my personal life I have not met a single person who has gotten the virus, nor do I know anybody that does. That being said, mask and hand sanitizer are just so easy, why not? I carry a backpack to work, so I can carry a bottle of hand sanitizer and a couple masks. I wear the mask whenever I'm around people, and slap on some hand sanitizer whenever I think about it. If this stuff even has a 1% effectiveness and get this back to life as usual any sooner, I am down to do something so easy. Incredibly lonesome, incredibly lonesome. I'm right there with you. In spirit, of course. Or we wouldn't be incredibly lonesome. Where I am in the south, it's just like it was before the outbreak. If you don't watch the news, there's no reason to think the world is any different. Ignorance is bliss, baby. I live pretty close to a grocery store in a neighborhood where about 1/3 of the people shopping or working wear a mask. I'll see families with multiple adults and kids shopping maskless, as if nothing has changed. I now drive to a different store 15 minutes away, because it's in an area where people are taking mask wearing more seriously. It's been like watching one of those movies where you go, all of these people can't be that stupid. Why would they do X? That's crazy and unrealistic. And then remembering I live in South Carolina and all of these people are in fact that stupid. I live in the UK and despite being in lockdown for 3 months, People are just abandoning the rules lately, with shops reopening and pubs opening soon as well. I live in the US, and my state, NJ, is slowly starting to open things up. A good portion of the state took that as were free and started going out without masks. There was plans to reopen indoor dining tomorrow, but the governor put that to an end for now after seeing numerous instances where people were not social distancing when outdoor dining opened up. I know this always devolves into comedy, but what's New Jersey normally like? I've lived here for 25 years. Despite being small, it's a very highly populated and very diverse state, both in the people who live here and in the geography and culture. What specifically were you wondering about? Life has gone on like normal. People crowding into bars, partying like they just don't care. I know people busy singing in their church choirs without a care in the world. I grocery shop during church time. The grocery store is full of people in PPE then, and it seems much safer. Arizona took it seriously for about 15 minutes. Then our governor met with the idiot, who encouraged him to reopen in early May. He lifted most restrictions, and mask use went from 80% to 20%. Today we're a mess. Masks were just made mandatory, but at this point it's like throwing deck chairs off the Titanic. Your governor met with Greg Abbott? Unfortunately my governor is Greg Abbott. Waiting to get tested now. Abbott is a ducking idiot. One of many. Don't get tested. You'll make the numbers worse. Sarcasm. I wish you the best. Stay safe and stay away from other people. Also make sure to stay at least 6 feet away from tigers. They can get the virus too. I feel like staying 6 feet away from tigers is good for reasons of getting eaten by tigers, but that might just be me. Southern Arizona resident here. Most don't give an F, they think it's over exaggerated going to get killed by the sun. Oh, the irony. Restaurants and bars were always packed until they got shut down a couple days ago. Again, it just sucks now because our hospitals are at 100% again, and we're probably going into another shutdown because of these selfish idiots. We have a lot of old folks down here. On a side note, it does seem like people are taking the mask thing seriously now. Granted, our county made it mandatory, but 2 weeks ago it was like 20% of mask wearers, now it's about 90%, so I'm starting to get hopeful. I just really wanted to start school in the fall. The whole purpose of my program was for networking. Now because of selfish idiots we're probably going to be online. Edit. To add, my program is extremely small and was never going to go to full capacity or back to normal, but we were going to do little by little gatherings. Was completely plausible with our cohort size. Now it's not even seeming like that is not going to be possible anymore. I'm fully aware my school was never going to open back up like normal. I'm not dense. People were having parties in my neighborhood clubhouse until last week when my town banned it. Yeah, they don't give a duck. My husband and I recently went to the south to pick up some items from storage. We were in Alabama and Georgia. We live in Chicago where they're very strict most places and have a person at the door making sure you wear a mask. I'll be the one to say it. Other than store employees, who mostly had them pulled down on their chin anyways. We were the only white people with masks on. This happened in 3 different Publix, a Kroger, and like 4 gas stations. I'll be the one to say it. Other than store employees, who mostly had them pulled down on their chin anyways. We were the only white people with masks on. This happened in 3 different Publix, a Kroger, and like 4 gas stations. My friends noticed it first and comment on it from time to time. Maybe it's just them being the larger demographic in the stores I visit, or I'm not paying enough attention to others. But at first glance there does appear to be a correlation. No idea what the reason for it would be though. I think it's a pretty straightforward reason. Mask wearing has become a Trump-fueled culture war issue, and not all white people are right-wing culture warriors, but most right-wing culture warriors are white. In the South especially, this choosing not to wear a mask is an assertion of political freedom for these people. Absolutely insane. But that's the reality. They answer to politicians and pundits that have made a hobby out of politicizing things that have nothing to do with politics, and making their followers feel like these choices are an act of fighting oppression. Guarantee you these are the same folks who cry about the war on Christmas when winter rolls around. This is 100% true. By wearing a mask, I was their enemy. Absolutely. I don't mind being their enemy. Don't get me wrong. It's mostly the same as it was pre-pandemic. However, I've observed an interesting new dichotomy. It seems that some of those who refuse to buy into the pandemic also make it a point to avoid me, an Asian American. It makes me think that they secretly do believe. I have been in a self-quarantine since late March with my family due to my father being a very high risk to the virus. We don't go anywhere and everything we need is delivered and put into a decontamination cycle. I had anticipated by June if everyone else had been doing things similar to what I had, we'd be in good shape and I could continue to work. However, that was not the case. In fact, it seems it was the complete opposite. Cases have tripled and people are still advocating for a mask-free life. TLDR. I have been under strict quarantine for over 4 months and because others don't want to be team players I will have to remain to do so until what I can anticipate being late August if we are lucky. I came here to say the same thing. High risk household, so we can't just go to any store. We have a small list of places we shop at that require masks. The hardest part is that my grandmother, the high risk individual at 88, is getting a little more relaxed about where she goes. I've told her repeatedly she can't go anywhere where people are maskless. We even had an argument about her going to Walmart because it's the #1 on our list of no shop stores. My parents, Trump supporters, have spent months making jokes about the virus and people wearing masks. My dad calls it the scamdemic. Last weekend they took a trip to Iowa to visit family. On their way home they get a call from one of my cousins that she was exposed to corona and they may have because they didn't social distance. Now they've had to get tested and are so far negative. But they're taking things more seriously now. I live in Texas. Our governor and LT governor haven't taken this seriously since the beginning and we're one of the states seeing record numbers of cases. I work for a group home for men with mental disabilities, so I've had to take this seriously since the beginning and my guys have been stuck in the house since mid-March. They're going stir crazy and chances are because of idiots they aren't going to be able to go out anytime soon. They haven't been able to see their families, go to work, go to the movies, go to Walmart, or participate in Special Olympics events. Internal scream. Can we give you money to buy them new board games or something? I'm gonna need an action item. This one made me cry. Don't cry. These guys are spoiled as hell. They have everything they could need or want. We were playing Jenga yesterday. We've got a game of Monopoly we're in the middle of. We have binders full of movies and I have Amazon, Hulu, Netflix, and Disney Plus I can cast to the TV. We've done water balloon and water gun fights. They were going to ambush me with Nerf guns one day when I came in, but the shift before me warned me and I ambushed them. We color music trivia on the Google Home. We keep them as busy as we can, but seeing the same walls day in and day out is starting to get to them. Edit. I forgot to add that the local fire department brings them all gifts every Wednesday and a house gift, usually a board game, every Thursday. Okay, I will stop. I am mad jealous of water gun fights and any space to run around. I'm an NYC, so I forgot that most places have outside space as a norm. My 4x8 balcony has been a huge privilege. Yay, we have a really big backyard. They get out on their bikes and ride around or run around. We have some wading pools we can blow up and fill up for them to enjoy. Until I drop a bucket of ice on them. Hee hee. Everyone's using the time off work to party, have barbecues, visit family, etc. My family has made the trip to visit every single one of our relatives at least once this year since they have so much time off, and they're out every other evening to go to a barbecue with or a potluck or a dinner with their friends. Had a co-worker at the hospital like that. Just came back from another barbecue camping trip with her whole family and now one of their cousins is a confirmed case. It's all fun and games until you have corona. My hubby's co-worker got it. Did not change a thing. It wasn't super severe, so now he's even more unbearable. I tried to explain that it affects people differently, but now he truly thinks it's all fake since he didn't have to stay in the hospital or die. Still won't wear a mask and still won't try to even take steps to care about the health of others. I've learned people in my state are illiterate. Signs do not work, but mean mugging someone standing too close to you does. Also just got finished eating with my mother, who said she refuses to get vaccinated for corona because Bill Gates is evil. The power of the news media is astonishing to me. For the people who refuse to get the corona vaccination, it's just natural selection at this point. It's like watching people put A1, ranch, and ketchup on a well done steak. I am honestly surprised on how many people wear a mask here. I did not expect it to be taken this seriously in NC, but all of the stores I go to enforce masks/6ft apart. However, when the Speedway the next town over had 5,000 guests one night, I worry about our country. LOL. We're from around the same area, but I live in a city. Ironically, that same Speedway lost a bunch of sponsors for a racist Facebook post. I'm in a relatively safe part of Canada. Nothing has changed in people's behavior. No one wears a mask or gloves. Stores have a hand washing station and plexiglass protection. Life goes on. The only visible difference is that Walmart has a weird entrance lane and sometimes stores will have a plastic shield in front of the register. As here. Got fired from a mom and pop after the owner said COVID was fake, and I told him that I've had 3 PPL die from it. Didn't like the talking back at will states suck. Time to rake in that sweet unemployment money. TN here. Everyone bitching about it hurting their rights. Got stuck in a cluster of church folk trying to get out of a restaurant. I was grabbing some takeout. They were bumping into me and each other without a worry. The other day leaving the gym, had an old lady stumble up to me with a church pamphlet, get right up in my face and breathe all over me. Every time I scooted back she crawled closer. Didn't have a mask on either. Gym was mostly empty and I won't lie, I am not working out with that on my face. Just held my breath while she went on and prayed to whatever deity would get this crazy woman off me. Walmart has directional lines but no one pays them any attention and I see groups of people huddling everywhere. I do see some masks. Mostly just employees. I can't top that. I live in rural CA. Definitely less than half of people out and about, including at my work, wear masks. And when there was a wildfire nearby, they had sheriff deputies without masks going door to door advising the residents about evacuation. It's a ducking law here. Masks are required in public, and not even the sheriffs are obeying the law. I get strange looks from everyone, who are always 40+ white people, who must think I'm the weirdo for wearing a mask. If it makes you feel any better, I shame stared a lady in the grocery store today who had her mask around her neck. I literally stared her right in the eyes as she walked up and passed. The next time I saw her, her mask was where it was supposed to be. My county just instituted a mandatory mask order. People like her are in the minority now. Lucky you. It's apparently tyranny to even suggest wearing a mask here in the US. I live in Sweden, and it's according to me very divided what people think of it all. Some people, most older generation 60 years, think it controls people too much, thinking about it all the time and that seeing your grandchildren and family etc is no problem at all. At the grocery store people were better in the beginning to leave space for each other. Now it's like people doesn't care at all. I think I've seen like 10 people in total with a mask on since the beginning of the pandemic. And today the first flights left the country for vacation in Greece. We as a country has gone down a very different road than most other countries and everyone got different opinions on it and where we gone wrong. We have lost about 5,500 people to date. Much higher than our neighboring countries, and we are not allowed into Norway, Denmark etc because of the death toll here. It is really annoying. Trying to convince others that this is dangerous and is real is like trying to convince someone that is on fire that they need to be put out. I live in southern Washington state. Think of it as a fairly conservative area sandwiched between the very liberal Seattle and Portland. As a result, there is reactionary rejection of anything perceived as liberal. As a result, maybe at most half of the people you see out and around are wearing masks. And of that half, an infuriating amount are wearing them improperly. Also, still hearing a lot of it's just the flu. Who cares? And it's all a damn conspiracy. It was made in a lab type talk. It's ducking infuriating. Especially because I'm working at a retail store with terrible measures and a completely unenforced mask policy. Edit. Should also add in I'm making minimum wage with no hazard pay and no health insurance benefits. Edit 2. Literally just today had a woman come in touting one of those bullpoop exemption cards. Said the impending second wave was nonsense and COVID is just the flu anyway, and that all the protests are a stratothing by George Soros and the DNC to try and take down Trump. Everything is still open to help stimulate the economy. My friends were going to the bars, and most of them got corona. My boyfriend's co-worker got corona, so now my boyfriend is in quarantine, for the second time at fault of a co-worker of his, until his test results come back. For anyone wondering, he's not allowed to work remotely even though his job can be done entirely from home. I get avoided at the grocery store when I wear a face mask, and I'm constantly patronized by friends when I refuse to attend social events. It's just crazy that, through all of the precautions I've been taken, my family and I are at risk through the decisions of other people that we have no power over. There's as many complaints and excuses in the air as coronavirus. Not super relevant, but the second turkey goes out of the corona alert, every habit they made during the past 3 months will be tossed straight out the drain and we'll continue just the way we did before. I am currently arguing with my 21-year-old cousin who lives in RI about CO2 toxicity and how wearing a mask does not cause dizziness or impaired thinking, or lack of ability to operate machinery after any length of time. It's absolutely asinine the dumb poop I'm fielding as far as misinformation goes. I live in Charleston, SC, and it's a fair mix of people who do and don't wear masks. I do wear mine. And they just passed a 60-day bill to hand out fines for those who don't comply. However, the Kool-Aid is strong here in 45's reddest corner of the country, and it's exhausting trying to just exist in this political and literal climate. The humidity is hard enough to breathe in, but to share the air with ducking morons who don't want to wear a simple ducking mask is getting to be suffocating. If that were true, all the surgeons would die after performing one operation. Face with rolling eyes. Not bad really. Rural county with a few dozen cases. People that want to wear masks do and those that don't. Those at risk quarantine themselves and the rest go about our business. Yeehaw, the coronavirus is a hoax one day till the birthday of Murica. Hasn't been bad. People are in comparatively a better mood. I live in a state that a mask is required in places of business. But privately neighbors are hanging out again and people are having birthday parties and BBQs again, and just happy to get on with their lives. I compare that to the people who are taking it more seriously and they are just so stressed out about every little thing they do. I think there's a balance between being super stressed and not taking any precautions at all, and I would count socializing out of doors as taking precautions, as that seems to inhibit transmission as far as we know. Dr. Mike from YouTube calls that balance alert, not anxious. Hell on earth. These idiots are acting like nothing is happening. No one wears masks. Many stores, restaurants and bars are open and full of people. I've been repeatedly laughed at for wearing a mask and called a snowflake. Last week there was a parade for Trump. Our county sheriff refuses to wear a mask or social distance and has said that no pandemic is going to keep the good Americans of our community from celebrating the 4th. Hell on earth. This will now come as no shock. I live in Florida. Mask wearing is considered a political statement. People are hostile to those who do wear them. A local restaurant shut down the dine-in option and said they would only do takeout and delivery, so the locals started to send him death threats. It's a ducking disaster. Florida is a poop show and I still get crazy looks for wearing a mask. No real implementation of social distancing or masks either. The company I work for has had people in store test positive and not sanitize the store or inform people that someone had tested positive in the building. I'm on furlough and scared to go back. Edit. Spelling. Mostly boring. My apartment is on the school's campus. The security guards take everyone's temperature at the gate. I've been asked to notify the school about guests or travel plans. Mildly annoying. But other than that it's okay. NC. The hardest part is not random people. It is your neighbors, co-workers and bosses mocking you for living in fear by wearing a mask. They think we should all just catch it and be done with it without really understanding what that means. I've actually seen someone take off their mask to sneeze in a public place. Thankfully, their mask didn't get dirty. I've tried to educate people but they don't listen. They don't want to. They talk a lot about rights but not a lot about responsibilities. Lockdown has ended. It's life just like before Corona. In some parts of America, like West Virginia, if you wear a mask, people look at you like you're an alien. But hey, better safe than 6 feet under. Better 6 feet apart than 6 feet under, I say. A lot of people in my area don't wear masks because God will protect me. That group of people overlap significantly with the group that's pro-gun. You see a lot of people open carrying because apparently God doesn't protect them that much. We drink more alcohol. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.